Have you ever wondered who MJ would be in the One Piece world? The NBA and One Piece are very different things. However, there are some comparisons we can make between these two worlds. Who would your favorite player's One Piece comparison be, and what devil fruit would he eat? Or which One Piece character's story could parallel the NBA? I've decided to take on that task and make comparisons for our favorite players and characters. This is a very fun exercise to make, and I believe I backed up these comparisons with strong reasoning that are realistic. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to click on that first and then come back to this video. With all that being said, let's get started. Big Mom is one of the most polarizing characters in One Piece and in her pirating era. A lot of fans like her while others hate her. There is no in-between when it comes to the general opinion on her. But her power and impact is undeniable in the One Piece world. She has been a force in the One Piece world for quite some time. She was the first Yonko that was introduced that had claimed so many territories in the world, and she was the first Yonko, in my opinion, to really have an empire. Her power over a lot of islands and her crew's influence over the world was something different that we've ever seen before. Despite being a good character, a strong opponent, and a Yonko, public opinion on her is split in the One Piece community. With all that being said, who is her NBA comparison? Russell Westbrook is one of the best players the league has ever seen. He is also one of the best point guards in NBA history. However, similar to Big Mom, he is very divisive. Some fans hate him while others love him. He has been praised, claimed, and scrutinized by the media and fans in the span of weeks, months, and years. However, his talent is undeniable. He broke records left and right in his prime. He also desensitized the NBA community to the triple-double, and this once coveted achievement was looked as mundane after Westbrook had later accomplished it many times over. Similar to Big Mom, only to get overshadowed by other talents later on, Westbrook, like Big Mom, is entering the tail end of his career and is nowhere near his prime anymore. Law has had great success as a pirate in the One Piece world. He is most notably a part of the Worst Generation and has had the Warlord title before. He also teamed up with Kid and Luffy to take down Big Mom and Kaido in Wano. He is a massive fan favorite and a really powerful pirate as well. He has held his own as he has a loyal crew around him to sail across the seas. While he is one of the pirates of this era and for the future, he quite isn't on the level of a Luffy or a Blackbeard, but he is ahead of anyone else in the Worst Generation. He is in a weird spot where he is an amazing pirate, but he isn't a top tier Yonko yet. Regardless, he is still a character with a large fan base, and with that being said, who would be the best NBA comparison? Jason Tatum is one of the best young players in the NBA. He leads a prestigious organization in the Celtics and has reached a large amount of success with the team. He has had rivalries with Giannis and KD, Luffy, and Blackbeard in the playoffs many times before. He has a massive fan following and is generally regarded as a top 10 player in the league. However, many don't consider him to be at the top echelon of NBA players just yet. While he has achieved great team and individual success in just a short time, he isn't thrown into conversations like top 3 player in the world very often. He often isn't the benchmark we use for other players to determine their superstardom. He is used as a litmus test on someone's star power, as he isn't regarded as a top 5 player in the league generally. Kid is another great pirate who has established himself early on in the One Piece world by having the largest bounty of the Worst Generation heading into the New World. He is a very bold and sometimes arrogant pirate that often gets himself in trouble. Regardless, he is one of the best pirates in the Worst Generation and on the seas in general. He is always aiming for the top, and although it took some time, he met a Yonko only to get stumped by Shanks when he finally met one. Speaking of Shanks, people have had their own theories on how he is somehow related or there's a connection due to the red hair. He has also been compared to Luffy and Law, and he has some rival moments with them, but it has proven that he isn't on the same level as them, especially Luffy. Lastly, Kid gets hated on quite a bit in the One Piece world and from fans. With all this taken into account, who would be his NBA comparison? Devin Booker is one of the best players in the league. He is arguably the best shooting guard in the league. He talks a lot of trash too and is often bold when it comes to the media. However, he did make his presence known early on in his career by dropping a record-breaking 70 points in a game against the Celtics. He has been aiming for the top, being in Arizona for years, and it took some while, however he reached it, just to lose to Giannis, or the Luffy of the NBA. He also gets owned by other European players like Luka and Jokic in other playoff series. He's not quite on the level as a Tatum or even a Giannis, but he has proven that he is still an amazing player. Early on in his career, he was compared to Kobe in terms of playstyle, but after a couple years it faded away. Lastly, Booker has progressively become more hated on as time goes on due to him talking and some of his performances. Zoro is the right-hand man for Luffy and the first mate of the Straw Hat Pirates. He also might just be the coolest pirate in the One Piece world. He is quiet, hardworking, and very strong. He has very strong fans and stands in the One Piece fandom. He is very reliable and a good, consistent leader when needed. He helps balance Luffy in serious situations. And lastly, he's a very dripped out individual as well. However, for some time he was looked at as a second fiddle to Luffy, but with recent events he has made noise to become a true force outside of the Straw Hats and the Worst Generation, making massive improvements in Wano and gaining a new sword as well. He can fight with anyone in the One Piece world now and hold his own. Lastly, he is one of the best swordsmen in the One Piece world, only to challenge Mihawk for that title. So with all this taken into account, who is his best NBA comparison? SGA has risen into being one of the best players in the league. As previously looked as a great young piece to now being the guy for a championship team is similar to Zoro's rise. He is a great young leader for the OKC Thunder as well. He is a hardworking, quiet, and humble superstar as well. He also is the best dressed NBA player in the league. He has some of the most loudest and biggest fan bases in the entire NBA. This season, he really made his superstardom known, leading his team to be the first seed in the tough Western Conference while also playing second in MVP voting. Lastly, he's one of the best cutters and slicers in the league when it comes to getting to the paint. Sabo is second in command for the Revolutionary Army and has some amazing accomplishments under his belt. He has faced the Gorosei and Imu head-on before. He also came out of nowhere relative to those who had a strong force in the One Piece world. As a revolutionary, obviously has trouble with the law and world government in One Piece. Lastly is Ace's successor, as he has his fruit and the potential to be better than him in the long run. He is the next Ace and is doing a great job at being the second in command for the Revolutionary Army. With all this being taken into consideration, who would be the best NBA comparison? Ja Morant is one of the most electrifying and exciting NBA players to watch in the league. He has also cemented himself as one of the best players in the league in a short time. He has faced LeBron and other legends like Curry head-on in the playoffs and isn't afraid to challenge them. He also has a large fan base of NBA fans and is very well regarded in the NBA. He also sort of came out of nowhere as he rose to the second overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft after a great year. However, similar to Sabo, he has had trouble with the law and less studious ways like becoming a revolutionary. And lastly, he is this generation's Derrick Rose in terms of his playstyle, athletic ability, and highlights. Ace is Derrick Rose and Sabo is Ja Morant. Dragon is one of the most mysterious characters in the One Piece world. Nothing is really known about him outside of him being the most wanted man in the world and Luffy's father. He is also a very private guy. However, just by looking at him, you wouldn't expect him to be as strong or as feared in the world, but he is very lethal, so dangerous in fact that the world government deemed him the most wanted man in the world. He mans a very well-manned organization in the Revolutionary Army, and anytime he makes a move, it causes a storm in the One Piece, quite literally. He has the power to become an absolute dominant force, but is mainly reserved and is waiting for the time to strike. With all this being taken into consideration, who would be his best NBA comparison? Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league right now. He runs a very well organized organization in the Denver Nuggets and is the focal piece on why they are successful. He's a very quiet and private guy as well. However, just by looking at him, you wouldn't know that he's a 3-time MVP and NBA champion and one of the most dominant players of his era and in NBA history. Similar to Dragon, he can cause a storm in the NBA when he wants to, and others fear his impact. He doesn't like attention like Dragon and seeks to avoid it actually. He's one of the best passers and playmakers of all time regardless of position. Similar to how Dragon can use storms to manipulate his opponents, Jokic can use his IQ and passing ability to manipulate the court to his will. Katakuri is the first mate of the Big Mom Pirates, being a strong pirate for this crew. He is a very reliable and consistent no matter the situation. He is also quite reserved as he has an affinity for his donuts. He is extremely loyal to his family and his crew, and he is a great co-captain to have, but he can also step into the role of a captain as he is a great leader as well. Despite being loyal, he also shows a lot of respect to other pirates and is well respected amongst the pirate world. He also showed Luffy respect that some fans may theorize that he may join the crew or Grand Fleet someday. With all this being taken into consideration, who is this NBA comparison? Damian Lillard has been one of the most consistent stars in the NBA for the past decade. He's very humble and hasn't got the recognition that he really deserves. He has been overshadowed by other great point guards in the era like Curry and Westbrook. Always placed a tier below those guys for the past 8 or so years. He's a good number 1 but an amazing number 2. He is very loyal to the soil and has an affinity to his rap career. He's been well respected by NBA players among the league for some time, and he also teamed up with Giannis, the Luffy of the NBA, that just fell short this year due to injuries. Similar to Katakuri, he's quiet, loyal, and one of the best number 2s that a Yonko crew or a championship contender could have. Crocodile has been a fan favorite character ever since he's been introduced. His signature style and his devil fruit really make him stand out, alongside his hook. He has led Baroque Works to some great success in Alabasta in terms of crime standards. However, after that defeat, he had been an impel down just to get released by Luffy. Then he went straight for Whitebeard, wanting to take him down during Marineford. he formed cross-skilled with Mihawk and Buggy in hopes of gaining power and finding the One Piece after all these years. He is certainly one of the best pirates of his era and a fan favorite and has a great signature style. And lastly, he has now taken a back seat in leading when it comes to organizations. With all that being taken into consideration, who is his best NBA comparison? Paul George, or PG, has led some great Pacers teams in the early 2010s to great success in the playoffs, but never reached the finals or much less win an NBA championship. He is one of the smoothest players in the league and is a prototype for the modern NBA player. His athletic ability made him stand out on his own. During those Pacers years, he was also challenging prime LeBron in some great series, the Whitebeard of the NBA. After a devastating leg injury, he revived his career in OKC with Westbrook and is now the second option of a very consistent and good Clippers team. He has also teamed up with Kawhi and Harden, who is the Mihawk of the NBA. He has taken a backseat to being the face of a franchise. However, his talent hasn't dropped as he still is an all-star level player in the league in the later stages of his career. Throughout this video, it is clear that there are some comparisons that we can make between the NBA and One Piece. This is a very fun video to make, and I'm going to make part 3. If you haven't watched part 1, make sure to watch that one right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and give your own comparisons. Make sure to subscribe.